Franchising is the most misunderstood and most overlooked form of entrepreneurship. We're here to educate you and help you find the entrepreneur within. Franchising is not all about the French fries.
We find that individuals who are exploring business ownership tend to have a lot of misperceptions and misunderstandings about the franchise industry. So what we want to do is help prospective business owners make confident and educated decisions before moving forward or not moving forward with a business. Welcome to Unpredicted Entrepreneur.
Hello and welcome to episode 66 of Unpredicted Entrepreneur. My name is Sarah Wasco and I am joined by my colleague Roxanne Rapsky. We created this podcast to bring you information about franchising and all things related to business ownership. We are very excited today to welcome our guest, David Watson. David is the owner of New Creations North Dallas. David has been in business since last summer, so summer of 2023. So welcome, David. We're so excited to have you today.
Thank you for having me.
So I wanted you to join us today because you're a really good example of somebody making a complete pivot on your career change.
Right.
So tell us a little bit. I mentioned that you've been in business not quite a year now.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us a little bit about your journey to business ownership and what you were doing prior to owning your own business.
So prior to taking this risk at the time, I was a teacher. 15 years of teaching. I was in a classroom, taught social studies and history. Then I moved to physical education because I love sports. That's my thing. I absolutely love sports. So I started teaching sports. And then it got to a point where I wanted something different for myself and for my family. Loved teaching, loved that aspect of life, but there's not a whole lot that you can accomplish financially for yourself and for your family doing that. So I decided to branch out. What can I do? Where do I go from here? And that's when I decided to maybe it's time for me to do something else. And I had a friend who guided me through that.
Yes.
At the time.
Go ahead.
Well, and I think it's interesting that because you like sports, you immediately thought that a fitness franchise would make the most sense, right?
Right. Yes.
I don't know if that where this friend comes in or not.
A fitness franchise was where I was like, oh yes, that's exactly where I wanted to go. That's exactly what I want. That would come easy for me. But doing my research and going through and meeting with franchise owners in that space, I realized that that might not be what I want to do because there's another area that stood out to me a whole lot. And that's New Creations.
Okay, so let's kind of chat about that and how you evolved into New Creations. So his friend is Drew Martin, who was a previous guest on another episode. And Drew owns Fitness Machine Technicians, which is a mobile business that repairs fitness equipment. Mm-hmm. And I remember our conversation about, okay, David, we can certainly look at sports related and fitness related franchises, but I'm going to encourage you to keep an open mind. We might need to think outside the box a little bit to see if there could be something else that would be a better fit. And one of the things I remember you telling me that was appealing to you about Fitness Machine Technicians was that it was a little bit unique.
Right.
And you didn't feel like somebody doing that, everywhere you looked. And so it was kind of important to you to think about something potentially that maybe was a little more unique. At the time, New Creations was fairly new in our inventory. And we should probably explain and let you explain exactly. We're sitting here talking about New Creations. What type of business is New Creations? What do you do?
So New Creations is a restoration company, but not your fire, water, gas restoration. It is more of a surface restoration. So we work with over 100 different types of surface, whether it be leather, vinyl, wood, plastic, the leather inside your car, the floors out, cracked tiles. There's so many things that we work with. So what we do is we don't replace Stuff that's broken, we repair it. So we're looking to save our clients. Let's say you've got 5 cracked tiles. It's going to cost you a lot to find those tiles, rip them up, and replace them. So what we do is we come in and we fix those and try to bring them back to perfection. We try to aim for 100%. Sometimes we'll fall to 90%. And sometimes they won't even know that we've done any. But we're more of a surface. Any type of surface, we repair it.
And so when we first started talking, and I brought this to your attention because it was a little bit similar to fitness machine technicians. You're going out, you're providing a service to someone at their home or business. I remember do you remember what your first kind of thought was? Oh, yeah. I don't know how to do that kind of work.
Right. I was like, I've never done this before. I have no clue what to do here. Where do I go from here? But the thing about it is I was not scared. I was more intrigued. Let's see what we can learn. Let's see how we can learn from this. And you never know.
Well, and that whole being open-minded thing, because we've never said that before, right?
Right.
We've never asked anyone to be open-minded before. But here's an example of being open-minded and just learning, right? Because what you learned is it was okay that you didn't have that skill set initially.
Right.
You could be taught, which is the beauty of a franchise, is they teach you the system.
Right.
You can plug into it and use it. And how hard was it, or how easy was it?
I'm still learning. But what I loved about New Creations is that apart from a 3 weeks crash course in everything that you can pull in, the learning process keeps going. Yeah. And I have access to everybody. I have access to the owners. I have access to anybody, a phone call, a text message away. If I'm not sure, then they've created videos of every single thing that we do. So I can go to that at any point in time. A lot of that helped when I was speaking with different owners in different parts of the country. That's what they said. And I was like, okay, I'm not as scared. They're like, if you can do basic stuff around the house, you can pick this up. And I was like, all right, there we go. So
you said something very important when you talk to owners around the country. So that is a very important step in your franchise due diligence that, you know, jokingly, we never tell anybody to keep an open mind, which obviously Roxanne was being sarcastic with that. The other thing we harp on is talk to franchisees, talk to franchisees, yeah. Because that's where you really learn whether or not you can see yourself doing this business and whether or not you believe that you can be successful. So just elaborate on that a little bit more. You felt some family atmosphere, some support, not only from the franchisor, but from the franchisees.
From the franchisees. I did. I felt like it was more family oriented than a business where they're pushing, oh, yeah, we want to bring in as many people. No, it was more like, we're not sure if this is for everybody. I was like, okay, well, that's intriguing. I don't want to be just another number. Yeah. I want to be valid. I want to make sure that this works for me and my family. And they asked questions about your family, about your background. And talking to a lot of the owners, they're like, a lot of this is how you want to run your franchise. We're not forcing you to bring a certain number in. It's how you want to do it. If you want to work extremely hard on it, it will bring about the fulfillment that you want out of it. But I enjoy talking to everybody, talking to husbands and wives, talking to sons and dads and how they run their business, people who are part-time. So I got every different angle and every different aspect of the business. And I learned a lot from that. And I felt like, you know what? I want to be a part of this. I want to be a part of something that's going to grow without me feeling like I'm being pushed through to bring in as much as I possibly can. So
I bet there were people from a lot of diverse backgrounds as well when you were going through your due diligence and making those phone calls.
Right. Yes, there was. There a husband and wife couple that I spoke with that I think that solidified it for me. because it was like the wife in the beginning, she was hands off in the business. Her husband did most of the work. And for my wife and I, she's like, this is for you. But as they grew, they realized that, hey, the wife is now fully invested in it. And that's what I wanted for me and my family. Yes, I'm starting, but I want it to be more of a family oriented for us. My wife, my kids, we want to be fully involved. And that's where we're at right now. She hasn't left her job yet, but she is fully into it and fully invested in this business.
I love that. And it's another thing we harp on is spousal involvement. Danielle has a corporate job. She's very busy doing her job, as you pointed out, but she was very involved in the due diligence, was on all the calls and listened in so that you could make this decision together.
Very important. Yeah, for sure.
It is. Another thing you pointed out was how different owners run their business differently. Some are putting more time and effort into it than others. For some, it might be more of a lifestyle business, so they're able to earn what makes them content and what meets their needs, but yet can maybe have more freedom and flexibility to do other things that they might want to do. And you were looking for that. That was one of the things about teaching that I think was a reason. I know you were saying there really was no place to really grow or to move up, but you also have children that are very active in sports, and you were seeking something where you could control your schedule a little bit more.
So I spoke with a firefighter. He does it part-time.
Okay.
I was like, that's fantastic. I spoke with individuals who run the business just themselves, just solely me. That's all they want. I want to make a certain amount, and that's it.
Yeah.
And then we have groups that are a team that have 4, 5, 6 staff members that are constantly running. So that you can see where there's growth, that you can evolve the business. And for me, it was, I want to develop something that gives me freedom to run to my kids' game. I don't have to ask permission to do anything. I can, hey, I'm going to book my schedule around my kids' games or their training sessions. And that's the freedom, that's the flexibility that I wanted. And I saw that with New Creations. And that helped in making my decision easier.
Yeah. So many families are craving that more control over their time.
They are, and kids seem to get busier and busier these days.
Oh, yes.
So, and I love what you said. You didn't have to ask anybody. And one nice thing about New Creations, I mean, there's probably occasions when somebody, maybe it's a car dealer and they are trying to get a car ready to sell, or somebody might be having a party. But in most situations, I would think there's not a whole lot of, extreme urgent repairs that you have to do.
Not a whole lot. I think I've done one urgent repair, and that was I did it on a boat.
Oh.
They were having a boat show.
Okay.
And they called me on a Saturday morning, and they're like, hey, David, I know this is not your time, but do you think you can come in? And it was a really good client of mine. Do you think you can come in and help us out? We'll compensate you for that. And I was like, yeah, for sure.
So you could make that choice. You didn't have somebody else having to make it for you.
Nobody has to. Nobody. Hey, David, I need you to go get this done. No, it was my choice. So I went, took care of it for them, and I enjoyed it. But for the most part, I have my set time that I work. I book my jobs how I see fit.
Do you have a typical customer, or are they all different? And then give us an example of like a fun job that you did.
Wow. A fun job that I did. I think I did a table for a client. They bought the table and it was ripped along the side. The wood was torn off. And it was fun because they thought it could not be fixed. They thought there's no way we can fix this. I was like, no, I'll take care of this for you. But what made it fun was the bulldog at the house.
Tell us more, because we're dog parents.
He was the sweetest, kindest dog ever.
That's awesome.
And he just came over and he was like, hey, what are you doing? Kind of like just a conversation. And I just pet him. We rubbed him down. So literally couldn't care about the job. But we did a great job on it. And then after he and I just sat down and just rubbed and played with him, and he was like, "Oh, I love it." But that was a fun job. It took me about 3 hours to do that job,
Wow.
but it came out fantastic.
So tell me how you find your clients. How did this lady find
Yeah.
you? How are you marketing your business?
So I do Instagram, Facebook, through normal stuff like that. I post on online, but I also learned how to network. It was not
Networking.
something that came natural to me, but networking, going out, meeting with networking groups, meeting people, doing face-to-face, talking, getting out of my comfort zone, walking into buildings and offices and say, "Hey, hi, how are you? I'm David with New Creations North Dallas. What do you do, David?" And then I can just go. And then you hear no, and then you're like, "Okay, I'll be back here next week. And we'll talk again." Good job. We'll talk again. And they're like, "Tell me what you do." But it's a lot of me getting out of my comfort zone and meeting with people, talking with people, sharing what I do, sharing my experiences. And people work with people that they know and they trust. So that's one of the things that I realized. I've got to get out there and meet people. It might be we have nothing in common, but having conversations. Oh yeah, I know someone who you could work with. And that's what I find. I'm enjoying that. A lot of networking.
Well, and so many places, I can't think of a place that doesn't need your services. You know, it's
Right.
anybody that has a car, anybody that has furniture.
Right.
Hotels have a ton of furniture and tile and all the things. You know, there's surfaces everywhere.
Yes.
Hospitals, dental chairs,
And then I also think
chiropractors.
about, places that rent properties like apartment complexes and
Oh,
things
yeah.
like that. There's damage. They don't have time to go replace the floor or replace the countertop before when one tenant moves out and another one
Right.
moves in. And also it is better for the environment to be
Yes.
able to replace than have to,
Yeah.
discard a full countertop, for
Put it in
example,
a
in a
landfill.
bathroom and put it in a landfill. Exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I love hearing you talk about networking because it is a key element of growing a business. You don't have a storefront.
No.
So somehow people have to find out about what you do, and you do have to get out of your comfort zone. But are you finding it to be fun now as you're
I am
starting
finding
to?
it to be fun. Initially, when I started, it was scary. It was scary. I'm used to talking to teenagers. I'm used to talking to kids. I'm comfortable in that space. But going out and speaking with adults who have been in business for a long time, I've never been in business before. There's terminologies that were being used that I was like, I have no clue what it was. So I've had to get out there and learn. But I enjoy it. I enjoy it now. I enjoy it.
And don't you feel that the networking groups embrace you? Like when you're a new business coming in, I feel like like the Chamber of Commerce or,
Right.
these people want to see you succeed. They want to be around other business
Right.
owners. And I feel like it's scary for you, but I don't think on the other side, I think everyone's just so welcoming that that makes it a lot easier.
It is. They're very welcoming.
Yeah.
My networking group, Master Network, was very welcoming. I remember my first time, and I had to stand up and introduce myself, and I was just fumbling over my words. I knew what I wanted to say, but I just couldn't get it out. And slowly, I've mastered that art of explaining what I do, and they've embraced me. I'm comfortable now. So
I
it's good.
would be willing to bet you that everybody in that room felt the same way you did the first day they went to that meeting. Because everybody has to start somewhere. And to Roxanne's point, I do think that they really embrace new members and want to encourage. So let me ask this, kind of back to the subject of you wanting something a little more unique. If you've been out networking, have you met people at any networking groups that do what you do?
Nobody.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Absolutely nobody.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, "What?" And you show them pictures, they're like, "What?" Yeah, nobody. That's what I do.
So tell us the story of the lady down on her hands and knees trying to find your repair.
So
Yep.
I did a repair for a lady. Her floors, her hardwood floors, they were scratched. So I went in, did the repairs for her. And the fun part of my job is having them try to find the repair. So I asked her, "Hey, can you find her? But do you see the repair?" And she's like, "I'll find it." And she's like, "Yeah, that's it." I was like, "No, So she took it as a challenge. She went down on her hands and her knees and she's like sideways, just looking. And she's like, that's it. I was like, not there yet. Nope. So I had to point it out for her. But man, that made me feel good.
That's awesome.
That validated everything that I did. Yeah.
When someone can't see
When
it or
someone
tell.
cannot see the repair. That's not all the time. There's some repairs that no matter what, we won't be able to get it back to perfection and as to what it is. But those days that you can bring it back to absolute beauty and having them try to figure it out, that's the fun part.
Even when it's not perfect, though, they're the only one that's going to know. Like
Exactly.
somebody else is going to walk in and never be able to notice that.
Yeah.
So you mentioned getting out of your comfort zone and networking. Obviously, being an educator, that wasn't anything that you've ever had to do before, and you're overcoming some of that, those challenges, and getting more and more comfortable with it and enjoying it as you do it. What are some of the challenges that you've faced as a business owner now that you are almost a year in?
As a business owner, you have to, how do I say it? Short memory sometimes. You'll get a lot of no's, and you can't take it personal. You cannot take it personal. It's your business. You have to sometimes just get past it and go again.
Yeah, not taking it personal is so key. They're not saying no to you.
Right.
They're just saying no or
And
not.
sometimes
Now
it's
is
no
not the
right
right
now.
time. Right.
Right.
I mean, your business is such that they, may not need you at the time that you're introducing yourself or trying to make that connection. But it's important that they know you're there, so when they do need you,
Right.
you have to stay in front of people for sure.
Well, and with the fact that not that many people in your area are doing what you're doing, it's memorable. There's not a whole lot of people that they're gonna be able to call.
Yeah. And another thing is when we say New Creations North Dallas, it doesn't say what we do.
yes,
Right.
So I have to go and I have to explain.
Yeah.
And the best way is to show pictures. So I've gone back to the old photo album.
Okay.
So I've done that. I've created pictures and I put them in the old photo album and I bring it out and this is what we do. And then, now we see what you do. So one of my challenges is explaining to everybody what we do.
The visuals
The
help. I'm sure.
visuals help.
Yeah, and that's great. And you mentioned having some social media accounts so
Right.
you can show before and afters,
Before and
which
after.
will certainly resonate with people. I mean, Roxanne and I can certainly relate to people not understanding what you do because nobody understands what we do either. And,
You're a what?
Yeah. And our business, I mean, New Creations has been around, since the 80s?
Yeah, they've been around 30 years.
Yeah.
But they were a Canadian company
Yeah.
and they branched out into the US now.
Yeah.
So FranNet's been around since 87. And people still don't know who we are, what we do. So we can relate to that challenge for sure. For sure. So, David, now that you have owned a business for almost a year, give us a tip or some piece of advice that maybe somebody else that might be thinking about owning a business might like to hear or might benefit from hearing.
Get out of your comfort zone. Don't be scared. Well, yeah, don't be scared. Get out of your comfort zone. Try something new. Failure is not always an option, but try it and see how best it works for you. I'm perfect example of getting out of that comfort zone. I'm comfortable teaching kids, and I had to look past that and say, hey, for my family, we need something else. So I have to do something else. I can't do the same thing and expect a different result. And this is me getting out of my comfort zone, doing something different, looking for a better result.
Yeah,
So-
it'll never be easy.
It will never
Never
be
easy, and it's never without fear, and
no.
there's always risk. There's no guarantees. So congratulations.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And are you happy with the decision that you made?
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. I've gone back to my school once, and they're like, "Would you come back?" I was like, "No, ma'am. Not
That's
me."
a hard no, right?
That's a hard no.
no. Well, if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, if they needed your services and they're watching this, how would they get a hold of you?
You can call me directly at I have my number here, 469-980-1848. Or you can go on the website, New Creations. .com, New Creations North Dallas. You can find us all over social media, New Creations North Dallas. It's simple. Google.
New Creations
Good
North
old
Dallas. All right. You're even on TikTok, right?
I'm on TikTok.
He's everywhere.
There you go. The man who was not on social media at all before is now on every platform.
Everywhere I can get out there, I get out there.
Good for you.
Well, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to meet with us.
Thank you for having me.
Dealing with the parking today. For those of you listening, thank you for joining us. Sarah and I are very active on LinkedIn, so please connect with us there. I'm Roxanne Rapske, Rapske. Sarah is Sarah with no H, Waskow, Waskow. You can find us on frannet.com and on our YouTube channel at Frannet of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma. You can also find Unpredicted Entrepreneur on any of the podcasting platforms. Thank you.
Bye-bye.